Hey, Crush crew! Alana Brayford here, welcoming you to another electrifying episode. Today we're flipping the script and turning the mic around for something truly special. That's right, the host becomes the guest, and the spotlight is on our very own mountain crusher, Henry Gaskins. Henry is stepping out of the host chair and into the hot seat, ready to share his incredible journey with all of you. We're taking you behind the scenes into Henry's powerful personal journey from a childhood surrounded by mental illness and trauma to becoming a bold, purpose-driven wellness warrior who's rewriting the rules on health, healing, and holistic living. You'll hear how Henry went from feeling isolated and anxious to becoming a confident speaker, reversing type 2 diabetes, and building this amazing platform to help you reclaim your health and power. We talk about food dyes, big pharma, nature therapy, functional medicine, and yes, even forest bathing. This episode is raw, real, and overflowing with the wisdom, heart, and fire that fuels Crush Your Mountain. So grab your headphones, your water bottle, and maybe a notebook, because Henry is about to drop some serious gems that will inspire you to take charge of your health and crush through your mountain. Let's go.
That's so funny. All right, it's on, I guess, because you're recording. It didn't say anything, but anyway, welcome, Henry. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that we could get together at this Vision Summit and talk about the theme and how it applies to your life. I have a feeling you're going to tell some amazing things about your life from just our little bit together that we've shared. So how have you created your life in turning it into something you love versus from going from past trauma into the life you live now?
Well, I'll tell you something. Number one, I want to thank you for just hanging out with you in the pasture.
Right.
Elizabeth. Now, does anyone call you Liz?
You can call me Liz. Fine. I have so many nicknames.
Okay. Oh, well, then we have that in common. And some of the nicknames they call me, I can't repeat actually, but but I'll tell you, the biggest challenge is that we come to this space, and for those that may be wondering what this space is, we're in the coaching wellness space. And many of us come to this space because we ourselves have experienced challenge, we've experienced trauma, we have experienced the parts of life that moves us to either crawl into a little hole and shell and mourn and die and then dissolve into oblivion, or we break forth and we seek out others to help. We find ways of helping ourselves, and then we look and seek to help others. So, long story short, in retrospect, and bringing things up to today, I grew up in a household where there were basically two parents who were mentally ill. One suffered chronic, actually severe depression. The other one developed a form of schizophrenia, which we now believe was early onset dementia. And just so that those that don't know the latest research, someone who actually has Alzheimer's or dementia of various sorts actually developed the illness 30 to 40 years before the symptoms of forgetfulness and other things manifest. However, in this case, the early onset dementia manifested itself in other elements in terms of paranoia and things like that, persecutory delusions, and things like that. I spent many a year with my mom believing that they were out to kill us. If you ever saw the old movie A Beautiful Mind, in many cases, if you remember the scene where they were racing in the cars, it was in the night, and they were being chased by someone, there was shooting and everything else, and the passenger John Nash was terrified, and then he winds up going in the house and he shuts the doors and he pulls down the blinds and he's staring out there terrified. We grew up with that. That's the way many times our life was.
Wow.
And there were other challenges too. that took place that really affected me personally. And I remember in many cases um, being, nowadays by, I guess, by all of this, as a result of all this, I'm basically a loner. But back then I was a lonely child.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize it,
And probably in a state of trauma, just anxiety.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this went on through our teens, 20s, and there are things, that every teenager goes through that never gets addressed. You see what I'm saying? So one of the biggest challenges for me, not being a natural introvert, being one that can actually now pretty much, give me a book, give me some music, and I'm cool. Uh, I have had to learn how to interact and deal with individuals. A number of things helped me. When I was in my late teens, I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I became a baptized ordained minister, and we're trained to do public speaking. We're trained to talk to individuals and to engage people. But even then, on that level, semi-professional, one would say, it was great. But beyond that, it was challenging because I was dealing with all of the angst that was within me. So I developed or learned another tool, adopted another tool, which was NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which allowed me to go ahead and move into the qualities that I wanted to emanate. And that was a great help as well.
So you were working with your neurological, changing that so that you could free yourself up from that past trauma.
Absolutely, absolutely. And strangely enough, this was still while the trauma was going on because we didn't know what was happening. I was in my college class one day, and I was actually in sociology. It was sociology of the family. And one of the assignments, one of the students was giving his assignment. And the assignment that he had was paranoia schizophrenia. And he began to talk about it. And as he began to describe the symptoms, a chill went through me and my heart just stopped. And I realized he was talking about my mom.
Yeah.
And that's how I realized what was going on with her. Because the doctors, my dad was handling it and he had his own challenges and he wasn't telling us anything. So that
and
was.
did he know? Did he know that she was schizophrenic or?
Yes. And here's the irony. The irony was the doctor that was treating my mom was also treating him.
Yeah.
And he didn't want us to know that.
Oh. So you probably internalized a lot of things, which kids do, right? As if,
absolutely.
Did I do something wrong or what's wrong with me? I can't handle this.
Yes, that happens quite a bit. That happens quite a bit. So long story short, though, I was, because of the spiritual beliefs, my deep-seated connection with God, and my tools that I had developed, I actually was able to move a bit forward. And it was always a habit of mine to try to help other individuals. Even when I was in school, if there was someone who seemed to be dealing with a challenge, I wanted to do what I could to help them. I was always the one people would pull me aside and talk to. Well, that resulted in me meeting and being enthralled with, and finally, after long and hot pursuit, marrying this beautiful lady, and we celebrated 33 years just back in November. And
wow, beautiful.
And that was that. We've done very well for ourselves in that way, but I had left the healthcare field behind and moving back for the sake of taking care of her, moved into the manufacturing space. And that in itself had its challenges because, again, who do you talk to about things that interest you when no one else can get it, right? So
Right.
that's always been a challenge in that space. However, we did well for ourselves in a way. We went through a lot. But one day I went to the doctor, and I noticed the doctors were, one thing I noticed about the doctors, particularly in this country, we got the 15 minutes, they tell you either what's wrong with you, and okay, or they ask you if something's wrong with you, and then they give you the prescriptions and pills that you need to take. Then they want to know if you're still taking them. They might examine you. They might give you a blood test. They rattle off the results of the blood test. But all of it is perfunctory for the most part. You don't get an understanding of what you can do to optimize yourself, not just
Right.
cover symptoms. And something else that happened along the way during the 80s, actually, no, during the early 90s, the pharmaceuticals were lobbying to have their stuff marketed on television. And that was a big thing for a while. They wanted to get on there. And the bargain was, well, yeah, you can do it, but you better go ahead and let them know about the side effects. So here we have all this wonderful media, these beautiful commercials with people dancing and singing and joyfulness. And then there's this undertone that may cause severe arthritis, headaches, overgrowth of skin, head falling off, ears popping out, eyes growing out. And then people just still dancing and loving and happy and joyful, right?
Right.
So it treats the symptoms, but gives you a host of other illnesses. And
May cause death.
yeah. If you die, stop taking Bakimla, right? Things like that. So,
Right.
so that's one of the things. And when it came to side effects, before it became a thing where it was on the television like that, I experienced the devastating emotional effects of side effects by observing my mom developing tardive dyskinesia. I've seen it out of control where her face just couldn't stop moving in ways that just wasn't natural. And it broke
So
my
hard.
heart, and would break anyone else's heart. You see? So, I think about that, and here comes these doctors. They're telling me, well, you have to have this, you have to have that. And I would try it. And all of a sudden, one day I have allergies. Why am I having these allergies? I'm working with some clients. All of a sudden, my eyes are watering, my nose is running, my throat is closing up. What's going on? Oh, it's the medication. They switch me off it, goes away. That's a side effect. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
And by the way, for those that don't really know, we love these marketing terms, and even nurses and are, they're just in that mentality because it's been drummed into them so much, as if this is just that this is true. It is not a truth. In reality, there are effects. That's what there are. Okay. It's a side effect is not, they make it sound like it's something that just decided to hang out with you. Oh, that's just a side effect. What's the adverse effect? Oh, you die. But this is a side effect. No. So, no, you take a pill, you cannot find where, okay, here's the side effect, and here's the effect, and here's the adverse. No, it's an effect. You see? So what happens is they give you this stuff, and many of these pills are derived from oil. Okay. The stuff of dead dinosaurs they pulled out of the ground. Okay. And they put that in, and they're giving that to you, the body, and it's covering the symptoms, giving you other symptoms, you see. And so when they told me that I was going to be pre-diabetic, and we need to put you on insulin, and we need to put you on this other medication, and we need to put you on another medication. But don't worry, it's hereditary, and this is how you manage it. And guess what? You'll be fine. And I thought about the fine. I thought about the fine because, unbeknownst to them, one of the things that happened with my dad was type 2 diabetes. One of the things that happened with my dad was insulin. And I remember my dad taking the insulin and having to shoot up for his type 2 diabetes. And the doctor says, all you need to do is lose the weight, Mr. Gaskins. Just lose the weight and we'll be able to take you off the insulin. Well, that's great, but insulin is a hormone, and it's a signaling hormone that tells a person to put on weight.
Yep.
So it's a losing battle.
Right.
So I said to myself, no, I'm not going to do that. And I said to the doctor, guess what? I'm not going to do that. And so that's when I developed the podcast and the show, Crush Your Mountain. And I started to, as a way of holding myself accountable, I started to look into ways of reversing the type 2 diabetes. And I was proud to say by the very first episode, I was able to say at the end of the show that my numbers, my glucose from the glucose monitor went from well over 300 down to 93. And my A1C went from 11.9, 11.5 down to 5.6.
That's amazing.
And the doctor that I had at that time, looking at my notes, says, well, I can't explain, but your numbers are not consistent with someone who has type 2 diabetes. Because I tell individuals that type 2 diabetes, not type 1. Type 1 is something that happens as a child. You're usually born with it. Your pancreas has issues. You're not producing insulin, and therefore you need the insulin, from another source, from the doctor. But type 2 diabetes, and it used to be called adult onset diabetes, because a lot of people got older and they were eating right and things like that. So type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle issue, not just a health issue. And we're living in a world that is designed to make our lives far too comfortable, far too palatable, meaning they'll give you Cheez-Its, they'll give you chips, they'll give you fries, all this highly ultra-processed stuff that does severe damage to the body. It's interesting that many of the dyes and chemicals used in foods in this country are banned in Europe and outside of the United States as a whole.
Yep.
We have an epidemic of ADHD. ADHD is so prevalent that it's a joke among comedians. Back in the day, you don't care the ADHD, just gave a kid a whack on the butt and they got themselves straight, which is sort of true. Right. Where did ADHD come from? Well, I challenge anyone to go and look at the effects of dyes in the sodas that are promoted and pushed towards children. The Sunny D's, the Coca-Colas, all of them. Look up and see what the red dye number does, what yellow dye number 3 does, what the blue dye does. One I think it's called Brilliant Blue. Look at that, and you will see that it may, I love how they just say may, cause ADHD in children or hyperactivity in children.
Right. Now, so many poisons.
Oh, listen. So, like I said, I'm compelled. I've always been great with kids. I've got 6 little granddaughters right now, and I love them so much. They're my heart and soul, those girls. And but I always have we have no children other than the grandchildren and my boy, but we have everybody else's child. Well, when we came to the city of the city of Oaks in North Carolina, Raleigh, there was a congregation there, and the family knew us from Virginia, where I married my wife. Myself, I'm from New York, but the family knew us, and I was observing a young fellow there, a young boy. He was a grandson. He was about 6 or 8 years old at the time, and I just kind of observed that he was kind of off to himself in a way. So, at the end of the meeting, I would take him out, hang on to him, and I would pray with him and stuff like that. And I just started taking him out and stuff. But as I began to talk with the family, that poor boy was on 5 different medications.
Oh, no.
At 8 years old.
Oh, that's horrible.
But one of them was for ADHD. So he was hyperactive. So they gave him something to bring him down a little bit. Of course, that one made him suicidal. So guess what? He starts to go out and try to kill himself. Then they try to give him something else. Then they give him something else. Then they give him something else. But here's the key. Sometimes people do things and it seems innocent because they're in the habit of doing it. And fast forward 8 years later, he's 16 years old. And one of the parents is giving this child his medication with orange soda, which just happens to have 2 of those dyes, one a red, one a yellow in it.
Wow.
Not to mention all the other ultra-processed foods that were used on a regular basis. And, now once he got off of all of that, well, he's left with one thing, one issue that he can counteract, that he can, he has to take medication for, but everything else, it's gone.
It was manageable by diet and lifestyle change.
Right. This boy is now a fitness trainer, and he works to help others to build their bodies.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. So, that's what I do with people. Try to help our clients, be it dealing with stress and things like that. And you have to just realize that the doctor, as I tell everybody, let the doctor be your coach, maybe, but most importantly, let your doctor be your teammate. He's on your board of advisors, board of consultants. And if you need to switch one out and put another one in that's going to fix you, not tell you what you want to hear, but advise you in the way you should go, then do that. You see, that's what I try to help my clients to understand and to do. And
you're building the education for them, the awareness.
Absolutely.
And doctors do have a place of having a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas to help people. It's just in what context are we using doctors that they have their wisdom and expertise and that's needed in many different arenas, but what you're doing is heightening the awareness. People can change their lifestyle, do things that they can do to say, be their own advocate, be their own sovereign being, take charge of their lives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The challenge is, say, for instance, I have 2 doctors. Okay. I had, my GP, general practitioner, that I see every day. But I also have, and this is the one I left earlier today, I also have my functional medicine doctor. And here is the difference, folks. Okay. My GP, my general practitioner, the quote unquote family doctor that you normally see, 20 minutes at the most with that person. And the most time, the entire time that you spent there, when the nurse will come in and take your vitals, you have, that sort of thing, your blood pressure, maybe your weight, and then, they'll make sure you're taking your medications or whatever supplements you might be taking or may not be taking. They want to list that. But then the doctor comes in with you. Hi, why are we here today? Okay, I see you're taking this. Are you still taking that? How do you feel? Okay, hop on the table. Let's do the exam. Okay, good to go. Well, maybe you'll get a blood test. And then a week later or 2 or 3 days later, you'll get the results of that test. My doctor, my functional medicine doctor, takes an hour and a half with me. And then she wants to follow up with me. And we talk about the traumas, what led up to maybe my being metabolically off balance, if need be, what are the things I'm facing, and how I can mitigate those things. And then maybe they'll do the vitals and all the blood pressure and everything else. And I even got a more accurate weight assessment. You see? So the functional medicine doctors, they tend to look at things a little bit more closely because everything in your life has brought you to the space that you're in health-wise.
Right. It's the whole being. It's not
Yes.
just the symptoms that your body's having.
Yeah. See, and this even occurred to me long before I even learned that there was a functional medicine doctor. But what had occurred to me is that Western medicine tends to treat us like cars at the mechanic's shop. So, yeah. Okay, you have a problem. The problem is in your brain, or you have you have this arthritis problem. So we're going to do something. I went to a doctor one time. I had a pain in my right shoulder here. And it happened, it was like the morning I was getting up to go to work. And this is early in our marriage at the time. And so I'm really concerned about taking care of this beautiful new bride. So I have to go to work and I can barely lift my arm up. And so that pain, it began to actually spread from one side to the other. I would go to work, and this over the years, and at times I could not lift my arms up like that. So finally, the company sent me to their doctor, and I was excited. I'm get to the bottom of this thing. And so I got to the bottom. The doctor says, well, he takes an x-ray. He says, you have arthritis in your collarbone. I said, okay. And I said, well, good. So how do we fix it? It's simple. Just remove the end of your collarbone. Okay, great. So if I have a headache, you remove part of my skull and I'll be fine. So I decided at that point to try something out. And this is the other thing that really honed into me the need of taking a holistic approach to the body. Because many times the pains that we're feeling in our joints are a result of the lack of use of the muscles surrounding those joints. I started doing some exercises that targeted my rotator cuff, that targeted the latissimus dorsi, or the trapezius, as well as the deltoids. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, I've got total range of motion, no pain. Now, if I want to do John Travolta's Saturday Night Fever, I can do it with both hands. And if anyone knows Saturday Night Fever, that means that you are older than me.
I know it.
Oh, you're not older than me, darling. You're barely just getting out of high school. Don't even talk about it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am happy to say I'm 56 years old, and I hope to definitely make a huge difference in the world by the time I'm 60 and create lots of healthy villages around the world that teach people about this kind of lifestyle you're talking about. Absolutely. That we all have intergenerational healing center there and a village of intergenerational people, because we were talking earlier about the elders, and they need to get out and about, and they need to be around people that are of different ages and not just sequestered off to themselves. And little children need to see the grandparents and the elders and hear their stories. There's so much healing that, like you said, is about movement and the movement of your body. And I often would get that from patients I worked with at this Indian health center, and they were on so many pain medications and told they had arthritis. And I would say, let me just work on you for a little while as a massage therapist and get some blood flow in there. And they'd be like, how did that happen? Oh my gosh, my shoulder feels much better. I can't believe this. And I'm thinking, what people don't know, it is educating people more. So I'm grateful for your work you're doing to educate people.
Yeah, we're trying to put together an event here in the city. It used to be the city of Oaks, but my wife and I, we left Raleigh and we now live in Angier, which is now the town of Crepe Myrtles. But we're trying to put together an event, a nature event. It's called Shinrin-yoku event, Japanese for forest bathing. Basically, don't get any weird ideas when I say forest bathing. What I mean, that's just a translation of the word. And what that means is a meditative immersion.
Right.
Okay, in the forest. So you walk into this beautiful wooded area and you take your time and you are now involved in the energy of the woods, the energy of the plants, the trees, the texture of the bark. And whatever comes up for you, you can either think about it, journal it, or write it down. You might do some movements, you see, to connect our energies, so to speak. We'll definitely do a gratitude practice. We might do some grounding, which basically simply is keeping our feet on the ground, allowing the electrical impulses, the circuitry of our bodies to find ground. And if you have any questions about that, there's a movie called, there's a website, earthing.com, or you can go to earthingmovie.com. It's not my website. I get no money for this. But if you want to get an idea about it, it'll tell you all the medical research that's been done just on doing the practice of grounding and being connected to the earth. So we're going to have that part of that as well. So
I love it.
Trying to find a venue for it. I just got notice that one area is going to be way too busy for what we want to accomplish. So we're still in the almost nomadic search for a location.
Well, I'm excited. I hope that you'll keep me informed on when you get that event up and going. I'd like to show up there.
Oh, it was so great. So cool to have you.
Yes.
Cool.
So please keep me informed.
Just don't speed. We can't have that. We got to keep you, mind the
I'll speed right over.
Yeah.
Right from California, but I have family in North Carolina,
really?
So I will be visiting there in Raleigh, actually.
Oh, cool.
So I would love to show up there. So we'll have to collaborate on, the date and the event.
I'll tell you, we need to work something out, okay? Because I like to bring people on. So we'll definitely.
That'd be so sweet.
About that. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for your time, and I'm concerned about it because I think you were mentioning earlier you had another meeting to go to. So I didn't know if you needed to end the call, but I hope that we get some time to do this again because I love to hear what you're doing. It's so great.
Absolutely, we will, and I'll send you a link so you can schedule your appearance. We'll do a 15-minute talk up as to how we're going to crystallize the topic, and then you'll get another one so that you can be on Crush Your Mountain podcast with your host, Henry Gaskins. And the motto of my show, you'll always hear me say this for the most part, almost every show: don't just climb your mountain, crush through it. Let's see you next time.
I love it. That's beautiful. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you're just feeling the need to tell everybody about before we end the call? Any kind of wisdom or anything that's coming up besides this forest bathing that I can't wait for?
Well, wisdom I don't know that I have. what I do know is what I have, I pass on. And I will tell everybody a couple of things. Number one, ask questions to your doctor, make him your advisor, not your boss. Okay. Sometimes they think they're God. They find out at death's door that they are not. So that's one thing. Number two, though, we are living in critical times hard to deal with. That is an important phrase, but it's becoming more and more apparent that society is not going in the right direction. But rest assured that there is a light at the end of that tunnel. And that and when you step into that light, once humanity is there, you'll look at a wonderful future as opposed to the dark days that can be just ahead. So have no fear for that. There are other ways. There's more information that you can go. That I'm not at liberty to discuss that here, but I'm sure as you travel in your town, you'll come across folks that could give you some insight. Other than that, thank you so very much for having me. And
You're so welcome.
As I said before, you are a flower among flowers, and it's a pleasure and privilege to spend a little bit of time with you.
Thank you, Henry. And I know you mentioned your podcast. Is that the best way people could find you if they want to get more of your energy?
Two things. I am on Instagram at Crush Your Mountain, Your Mountain. Also, diabetes_weight loss. That's at Instagram. You will not find. I do not post a lot these days. I find that it's a little bit too crowded out there. I have, you can come to my Facebook page, Henry Gaskins, Crush Your Mountain. You can also go to my YouTube channel where you'll probably see a version of this particular episode coming up. So please make sure you come to YouTube and subscribe and like the ones you like. The most popular one, for some reason, is the 72-year-old bodybuilder John Hobbs, the Silver Fox. He's now about 75. But we have about 2 or 3 episodes with him on there. Jean Laguerre is a 64-year-old bodybuilder that he's still working with people. He's from my hometown of Laurelton, Queens, New York. So he's a really cool guy. I have quite a few great stories up there. I got just most recently finished the interview, and I'm going to be posting it soon, with a former Miss Universe who is not just gorgeous, but she is so on point and intelligent when it comes to the importance of maintaining muscle mass after 50 years old, after 40 years old, because the less we do that, the more sarcopenia takes over our bodies and we lose our body mass. So all that's on the channel, and we've got more stuff coming up. And I just look forward to hearing from folks and getting their insights on how I can improve the show. And, hey, just come on and grab your pickaxe, grab your shovel, grab your sledgehammer, and let's start working on your mountain together.
Ooh, love that. Thank you so much. I'm so honored and humbled by what you're doing in the world. I'm inspired to do more thanks to you. Just hearing your story is truly, a gift to the world, because it does show the resilience and the efforts to climb the mountain and then crush it with your focus on what you really want to do to help people. So thank you. Thanks for being in the world.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
We'll talk again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I can't wait to connect again.
Yes, ma'am. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Wow. What a journey, right? Today, you got a rare glimpse behind the scenes of the man who's usually guiding the conversation, our own Henry Gaskins. And honestly, his story is a powerful reminder that your past doesn't define your future. From the pain of childhood trauma, to challenging the limitations of modern medicine, to reversing type 2 diabetes through sheer commitment and lifestyle change, Henry is living proof that you can transform your life, no matter how steep the climb. We talked about everything: food additives and ADHD, the healing power of forest bathing, functional medicine. And at the heart of it all is this truth: you have more power over your health than you've been led to believe. Healing is not just about prescriptions. It's about purpose, presence, and partnership. And your story doesn't end with a diagnosis. It begins with a decision. So if something today sparked hope, curiosity, or even just a sense that something has to change, don't let that feeling fade. Take action. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that they're not alone on this journey. And if you're ready to take the first step, we're here for you. At Crush Your Mountain Coaching, we offer free de-stress sessions and affordable, accessible packages that help you take control of your health naturally, with real support, real strategy, and real results. Whether you're looking to lower your glucose, reset your mindset, or just breathe again, we'll walk with you every step of the way. Because this isn't just about climbing to the top, it's about breaking through every barrier that tried to hold you back. I'm Alana Brayford, on behalf of Henry Gaskins and everyone here at Crush Your Mountain Coaching, reminding you to remember: don't just climb your mountain, crush through it.